Hi, this is Rabbi Tzvi Mandel, Rabbi of Kabbalah Yisrael, Congregation Kabbalah Yisrael, community of Jewish friends. I would like to thank all the people that left compliments for me. Encourages me to worship Hashem in the mitzvah of Abbas Yisrael and Abbas HaTorah and Abbas Hashem, the three loves that the Holy Baal Shem Tov taught us. And speaking of Ahavas Yisrael, the third day of Tammuz, everybody knows, is the outside, the day of death of the great Heilig Tzaddik Lubavitch Rebbe Reb Nachum Mendel Schneerson Zecher Tzaddik B'Kodesh Baruch Chusa Yogan Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael Amen. One of the most interesting personalities of Chassidus, many generations, and the following story I heard from a person who knows the person that it happened to. Okay, so there were two wonderful young people studying Torah together. They were chavrusis in studying the Talmud Gemara. And there's a saying that if a chassid wants to learn, the best person he could learn is with him as nagid, with an anti-chassidus. Why? Because with another chassid, they'll talk about tzaddikim, or they'll talk about worshiping Hashem and working on themselves in a chassidish way. But with a misnagid, when you learn Gemara, you can only learn the Gemara. Okay. So there was a chassid in a city here in America that was studying with a misnagid for many years. They were very close friends, and but when they learned, they were learning. There was no talking about anything. And he saw that, the chassid saw that his chavrusa, that the person he was studying Torah with, was broken-hearted. He saw that he was... So a couple of days, and he didn't want to bother him. Maybe he doesn't want to speak to him about whatever it was. Finally, without him even asking, the Misnagid says to the chassid, I have to open to you. I have to open to you. He knew that his wife had given birth a couple of months before, or a couple of weeks before. The problem with my wife, she's suffering terribly after she gave birth. I think it's called postpartum, where never she, like, during the night, whatever, she, like, hates the baby in a psychological way, obviously. Nothing bad, but it gets very serious, and he had to, in fact, hire a 24-hour nurse or a number of nurses that help her, and at night the nurse stays up all night and makes sure that she shouldn't hurt the baby, because there's this interesting situation. And I've gone to the doctors and to the psychologists and psychiatrists, and no one could help me. So I know that I don't go to Rebbe's, Misnagid, he was brought up not to believe in this way of the Torah. But I think I have no choice. So how do I go to Lubavitch Rebbe? Of course, the chassid was happy to help him. He told him to go to 770 in Brooklyn, 770 Eastern Parkway, and you get an appointment, and you have to wait, and you'll go in. He listened to his instructions, and he comes, gets an appointment with Lubavitch Rebbe, and he goes, and Lubavitch Rebbe tells him that to help your wife, you're going to have to go to the Philippines. Listen to this address. He wrote down the address for him. And this address is a building of offices. And listen to this office on this floor. In the front is someone at the front desk. Right in back of him is another fellow. That person is going to help you. Anyway, the guy was respectful, tzaddik, a Talmud Chacham, he's not going to say anything, but he walked out and he thought to himself, forget, this is too crazy. I know Chassidim are, a little different, but there's a little way out. I should go to the Philippines, what, when. And he goes back to his friend and he says, listen to me, my brother. You know, I respect your way of life. You know, Chassidim, you know, it's very strange to me. But to be so strange, you have to fly to the Philippines. And he said, I ain't going to do this. I said, you know, if the Rebbe tells you, then he said, yeah, I know all the drushes, I know all the sermons, but, you know, it's not for me. Anyway, sadly enough, you know, a person doesn't want to get help, so you could bring a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink, so he goes home, and again, a number of days, a number of weeks, and he says to himself, you know, how stupid am I? Here I flew to New York, and I went into Lubavitch Rebbe. And I shouldn't do what he told me. Come on, it's not fair. So he was fighting with himself. So made a flight to the Philippines, goes to the Philippines, goes to that address, tells the taxi to wait, goes to that address, and asks the person in the front, where is this person? He told him it's the one in back, but maybe he wasn't there. He says, I'm coming with a message from the Lubavitch Rebbe. And as soon as he said that, the person back said, you're coming from Rabbi Schneerson? He says, yes. Okay, so come over here, I'll speak to you. And he tells him, he goes to his jacket and takes out a sucking candy, and he says, here, give this sucking candy to your wife and she'll be all right. Guy thinks to himself, this is even weirder than what happened before. Ain't gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I don't do such weird things. You know, you tell me something, thinks to himself, you know, tell me something that's logical, that makes sense, okay. But this is like pure emunah, pure belief and pure faith. And I'm not holding by that. You know, I'm a logical person. I study Torah, I do mitzvahs, you know. Goes home. And he tells his friend, I can't do it. I can't do it. He tells him the whole story. And he keeps his candy in his pocket. And that night, in the middle of the night, he hears laughing and crying, and he wakes up. And he sees his wife sitting there with the nurse, and they're laughing, and she's playing with the baby, and everything's okay. And he asks his wife what happened. So she says, I'll tell you something, you know, I had like a little bit of a headache, so I was looking for something to take, and I saw in your pocket, I saw a candy. So I took that candy, and I felt better, and I felt so good. And I said to the nurse, you know, let me hold the baby. And here I am, and I'm feeling okay. And anyway, after that, she was completely healed. And now this guy was like first really like, what is going on? So the next night he went to learn with his learning partner, with his chavrusa. And he says, I really, first of all, I have to go back to your Rebbe in Brooklyn and ask him, I have to beg his forgiveness because I was disrespectful, even though in front of him I wasn't disrespectful, but in my heart I felt, you know, and I wasn't going to do what he says, you know. So first thing, I have to go ask him, I have to ask his forgiveness. And then I want to know what's the story behind the story. Chassid says, look, go to Brooklyn, makes an appointment, goes to Brooklyn, and comes into the Heilig Lubavitch Rebbe's Chamlacha and says, Rebbe, I have to ask you forgiveness. And I doubted what you said, and the Rebbe said, of course, it's fine. You know, tzaddik is humble. You know. And then he asks him, what's the story that you sent me to someone in the Philippines and the candy healed my wife? What's that all about? So first of all, there's no such thing as a candy healing your wife. Hashem healed your wife. The reason why you had to go to Brooklyn, why you had to go to the Philippines, was because when I saw you and you wrote your kvittel with your mother's name, yours and your mother's name, I saw that you weren't from my Shorish HaNeshama. We spoke about this a number of times. Every tzaddik, according to Chassidus, has a group of souls, neshamas, that were brought to the world that belongs to him. Tzaddik HaKoil means that the tzaddik's neshama is already fixed, and he comes to fix others, to help others. And I knew that you belong to that man's neshama. And now that man is a hidden tzaddik. And I also told you that when you finish with all this, as soon as you come out of his office, rip up the address and throw it away. Because he is a hidden tzaddik and you belong to his neshama. You're one of his neshamas. He came to this world to help you. And the second part of it is that hidden tzaddikim, hidden great people, are not allowed to be known in this world. So I was allowed to allow you to go to him only for this one thing. After that, I want you to rip it up. A tzaddik that becomes popular while he's still alive, it's dangerous for him and it's dangerous for you. God forbid, it could be dangerous for his life, God forbid. He could go from the world if he's revealed before his time. So it's for that reason I told you to rip up the address, and he lived happily ever after.